Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel of nonsense, and this week's video is all about the KTM 890 Duke R. This is a 10,650 pound single seat naked hooligan thing. It's got 121 horsepower, 99 newton meters of torque, and KTM calls it the scalpel. And basically this is a hardcore middleweight naked that's designed to go around corners very fast. So let's go and find some and see how it feels. Now this has got a 900cc basically parallel twin, and it's tuned for aggression, I think it is fair to say, and I think that is going to become clear very soon into our ride. Now I guess this is similar in some ways to things like the Street Triple RS, and in a different way my Hypermotard 950 that GoPro's died. But yeah, this has got some proper components on it. It has got adjustable WP Apex suspension front and rear, Brembo Stylema calipers and a 6-axis IMU, so it's got cornering ABS, wheelie control, all that kind of stuff, and you can turn it off. I don't want to. Oh dear. So yeah, initial impressions are, this is an angry little badger of a motorcycle. It really is. That parallel twin might be a parallel twin, but it has been tuned to be, well, a bit rorty and not nice, which is fine by me. I have to say, on these bumpy roads, I've got so much confidence to kind of drag the brakes into corners a bit. Sticking on its ear, and it's on Michelin Power Cup 2 tyres. I think they're Cup 2s, I'll correct that if I'm wrong, but they are sticky like a bumblebee with its bum in a 2-year-old. Yeah, don't be put off by the fact this is only an 890, it is angry, but that chassis is delicious. Wow. Yeah, it turns so easily. This is an absolute cornering weapon. KTM calls it the scalpel. I mean, other surgical implements are available, which I'm sure are all accurate because keyhole surgery is quite a dangerous thing. But yeah, this is not a thing that takes apart a corner like a shotgun. It is like a little laser focused thing. Basically what that actually means, if you're not being a marketing wanker about it, is it just turns in really quickly and it feels amazing. Then over. And it does that super bikey, sports bikey thing of laughing in your face at your cornering efforts. Yeah, it feels incredibly aggressive. However, because KTM are using a parallel twin, albeit one of a funky firing order, it's not a pain in the arse. Look, I'm just about to go into a town and we'll see how it feels. But I can tell you already, it's going to feel smooth and creamy and easy to ride at slow speeds. The suspension around town is a little firm, but there are settings under the seat for comfort, track and things like that. And given the state of the tyres on this bike, I would say it's been on track recently, so it might have been left in the track setting. But yeah, it's purposeful. It's definitely purposeful. And the brakes are worth a mention as well. This may be a 10.5 grand bike, but it still gets Brembo Stylema full superbike spec front brake calipers, so you can stop really quickly when you want to. And it's got an adjustable ratio master cylinder as well. Yeah, it just wants to lean. But handling is only one part of the package, the engine is the other. It is pretty bloody fast. 121 horsepower, 99 newton meters of torque. It's all delivered higher up in the rev range than other KTM 890 engines, and you can feel it. It's got angrier cams than them. It's got forged pistons and con rods, so it spins up extra quick, and it does not feel like your nan's parallel twin. If your nan has a parallel twin, that is. It feels very silly. This might be one of the most addictive bikes I've ever ridden in terms of cornering prowess, just because it's got the brakes, it's got the chassis and the confidence and the tyres. Yeah, this is, well, phenomenal road bike for a start, simply because the brakes are so good. You're never going to feel like you're going too fast for the bike. And the tyres and chassis, wow, they feel They feel very racy, and I mean that in kind of race bike sort of ways, not just stiff. It works with the road and it's compliant. Woohoo! Quick shifter and blipper is actually the best I've tried on any of the 890 bikes so far. Really crisp, really assured up and down the box without any delay. Let's talk about the ergonomics, the riding position. I'm 6'3", and I'm very relaxed on this. The bars are kind of leant forward slightly, but not as much as on the 1290 Super Duke car. It's a bit more, I don't know, it's a bit more civilized. The seat is pretty hard. It's pretty thin, it's pretty firm. But I don't think KTM's selling this bike to people that want to do massive miles, and if you do, I'm sure there's an accessory seat available. The pegs aren't too high either. Like the Super Duke, it feels like this is based on its own thing. It's not based on a ridiculous race replica, so it's not folding you in half and uncomfortable. So win-win. The mirrors are KTM's solid metal mounted ones that won't spin round, and you can adjust them really easy. It's nice and stiff so it doesn't wobble. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Practical stuff done. Let's go. I would say this is a single seat only, and there's a little ridge of plastic behind the seat which my bum does kind of sit on when I'm accelerating, because I'm using all the seats because I'm a fat man, and that does hurt my bum a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to stop and give you a quick walk around and show you what this is all about, rather than just giggling and go, ooh, goes around corners really well. Blimey, my heart rate has just about calmed down enough to give you a quick walk around of the 890 Duke car and show you all the various bits and bobs on it. Let's go. Right, here it is then. I don't know why KTM hasn't called this the mini beast, because it's so aggressive. It's just like its big abusive father, the 1290 Super Duke car. But unlike that bike, this one only weighs about 176 kilos wet or 166 kilos dry. It is super light, and it's got so much trick stuff on it considering that lightweight. So you've got the Brembo Stylema calipers and the big brake discs there, the fully adjustable WP Apex suspension, the adjustable Brembo master cylinder so you can change the ratio doodah there, and yes, the star of the show is the chassis. Really, it's such a sweet handling bike. You just chuck it on its ear into any corner at any speed and it just absolutely laps it up. I've never ridden a bike that likes to be leant over as much as this. But let's talk about the practical stuff. If you're a short ass, it's only got an 834mm seat height, which might sound a little high, but actually it's dead easy and it's quite narrow between your legs, so I think most people will be all right. Part of the reason it's narrow between your legs is it's only got a 14-litre fuel tank, which is probably good for about 100 miles, 110 miles, because you do tend to thrash the nuts off it. There's that parallel twin with 121 horsepower, 9,250 RPM I think, and 99 newtons of torque at 7,750. These are the super sticky Michelin Cup 2 tyres. Yeah, someone's had fun on a track day, and I think it's a real statement of intent that KTM has put them on a standard, because look at the tread on them. They're almost slicks, and that just kind of shows you what this bike is set up for. And obviously it's not set up for touring because there's no rear seat provision whatsoever, so it's you and, well, yourself. You can probably stick a rucksack on and go around Europe if you're a bit of a masochist, but it's not really designed for that. I have found that these little cutouts here, being 6'3", I end up gripping them kind of up here, which is a little bit painful, but you know, I can wiggle around and sort that out. And likewise, I end up sitting kind of back here somewhere, and that gets up my bum a bit when I'm accelerating. But overall, it's quite a big seat with plenty of room to move around, wiggle around back and forth, and I think it'd be perfectly fine, especially on a track day as well. It encourages you to hang off a bit. The screen is a diddy little one, but you don't really need any more than what's on it. Ready to race. We get it, KTM, you like corners. So on this bike, you have got Sport is the default rating, you've got Street, softens it off, Rain softens it off more. Track, track mode, that lets you change the throttle response to customize it, the anti-wheelie on and off. That's part of the tech pack. Oh no, there we go. Launch control, and that's basically it. And if you want to adjust the suspension, get your spanners out. Actually, you don't need your spanners because it's got twiddly adjusters on there. There we go, that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to jump back on, go for a bit more of a ride, and give you my overall thoughts, whatever they're worth. Probably giggling lots, knowing me. Alrighty, so I'm in track mode now, which lets you disable the anti-wheelie and I've set the throttle response to track mode, and it is even more aggressive. It is super direct, but actually quite lovely. It's definitely a full-on experience, this bike, and it kind of goads you into thrashing the engine and kind of exploring the chassis, which is just phenomenal. God knows where limits are. So it's not especially relaxing. Don't think, oh, it's a nice relaxing upright bike. No, it's not. Right, so in conclusion, the 890 Duke-R, it's a very, very focused bike. All it wants to do is get out on the road and tear the road apart, frankly. It corners with a confidence and a keenness that I'm not sure I've ever felt on a road bike. I know that sounds like journalist hyperbole, but whatever KTM has done to this bike, in combination of good components, sticky tyres and a light weight, makes it a joy to ride. It's like the Lotus Exige of the bike world, and like the Exige, it's also focused in a way that might make it a little bit wearing to live with for longer periods of time, for longer rides I mean. It's definitely an amazingly fun weekend adrenaline shot of biking, and I would absolutely love to stick one in a van and take it to Germany, Austria, somewhere like that. But the key bit there is I would be sticking in a van, because with a 14-litre tank, long distances you're going to have to stop every 100 miles, and the seat is wafer thin, and the suspension is a little bit firm because of that sportiness. It's not outrageous, it's not really uncomfortable, but over a long distance you might want to soften it off a bit, and you can do. As I said, there are instructions under the seat. Look at this. I should know what it is. It's an old car. What it isn't is the scalpel. Well, let's talk about the negatives of this bike for a little bit. There are a few things I'm not keen on. I wish it had a rear seat, just for the sake of comfort more than anything, because I do end up jammed up with my coccyx against that stop, and it's quite hard rubber. What else don't I like? The screen is a little bit small, but you don't really need anything bigger. The engine sound, I wish it had more of a roar to it. And I know, you know, emissions regulations, everything else, and it is, you know, the 900cc-ish parallel twins. It's never going to sound the most amazing. I just wish I could hear more of it, because by the time you're up to 60, you just can't hear it at all. Obviously you can stick a louder exhaust on it, but that high level exhaust is quite high up, so you would, if you made it too loud, it would get on your nerves quite quickly, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm whinging about it not being loud enough, and then saying making it louder would ruin it. So KTM's probably done the right thing. Cancel that negative. Other than that, it's just a bloody brilliant bike, and I've kind of been blown away by it, from the aggression of the engine to the tied down taut nature of the chassis, yet the way it works with the road. I would love to take this on a track day. You know, even as a novice track day rider, I think I'd have a lot of fun with this and get a lot out of it, and it just feels like that would be a good home for it, despite being an excellent road bike as well. So there we go. That was very waffly, more waffly than usual, but what I'd say is, if you ever get the chance to ride one of these, don't overlook it, because well, it's a proper experience. Just because it's not the 1290 with 180 horsepower doesn't make it any less of a hoot on the road, and the fact you can actually rev this out a bit makes up for any lack of torque. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. If you've liked this video, then there's a like button, you can click that. If you want to see more motorbike stuff, bimbling around the UK on new bikes, do subscribe to the channel, and remember, Tim Roadie Drive Stuff is my car channel, and I do bits on there as well with nice exciting cars. So yeah, call me a silly old fool in the comments, and I'll see you next time, when I won't be bimbling through quaint English villages on an angry Austrian motorcycle. Goodbye. Yeah.